going back to the sports fan, I think if you're an athlete and you're heavily relying just on your wearable to tell you what healthy doses of training is, and like for whatever reason there might be, a bug in the algorithm, and you just drop dead because you exercise too heavily. I think that's certainly a downside, but that's maybe not what the general public perceives in terms of dangers of AI. I think if you look at it from a more general perspective, I don't think that the NBA chatbot will take over the world anytime soon, right? It's not got this Skynet Terminator type thing that a lot of people talk about when they talk about AI. But seriously, I think the downsides are more when you talk about the development of general intelligence. So there's a lot of disciplines in AI and a lot of different disciplines in machine learning that is almost like a subtopic of AI. And when companies like IBM, Google, and Amazon and Facebook talk about AI, at least when it comes to Google, where I used to work, Google was always talking about the development of a general intelligence. And general intelligence is not a chatbot. A chatbot is trained and then hopefully learns over time. This is why it's called machine learning, teaches itself how to do things better and more effectively. But it's task related, right? So the chatbot is there to perform a certain task. That is not what you would call a general intelligence like a human brain. General intelligence is that you actually start dreaming, thinking creatively, developing strategies, being able to communicate like a human being. And I think that is a much bigger and complex subject to think about. Like just last week, one of the Uber test cars, the self-driving cars, is one of the AI applications. Actually caused an accident and somebody died. Now, the downside of AI, you might say, is that this person died, but quite frankly, there's a lot of people dying in traffic when humans are driving, right? I think even statistically at some point we will look back at the times where people were still driving themselves and say there were lots more accidents than with AI-driven cars. So I think it's more of those more ethical questions maybe that might come up with the development of general intelligence, and legal questions that might result. Whose fault is it if the Uber car hits a person on the street? Is it the developer who wrote the algorithm? Is it the group of people? Is it the company that built the car that actually bought the algorithm from someone else? I think it's a pretty complex subject. Tying it down to sport, I don't really see any downsides right now. I think there is an infinite amount of opportunity that is ahead of us, and I think Infront and me personally, I'm very excited about it. Well, I think generally I can't really predict the future. No one really can. I would probably not sit in that chair if I could. But I think there is AI and machine learning generally. I think is a very interesting area for people in sport. As I talked about, scalability, understanding fans, personalizing your offers, your content, being able to, from an athlete perspective, for instance, to work on your golf swing with AI could be a very interesting thing. And I know there are already app developers that are looking at wearables, certain sensors attached to your golf clubs, so that the AI would actually learn how you swing and then where the ball actually flies, and how you can actually, through pattern recognition, almost improve your golf play as an athlete just through AI. I think that's really interesting, right? And we've only touched the tip of that iceberg. I think there will be a lot of advancements. There will be a lot of automation. I talked a little bit about interaction or interactive experiences. Chatbots are nice, but to be honest, most of the chatbots that I've tried, they're somewhat nice to have, but they're not really solving a problem for me. I think in a not so distant future, we will be able to interact with computers as if we were interacting with people. Is that desirable? That's not for me to answer, but it certainly gives a lot of services that are very inhumane and very unpersonal at the moment through email and whatever, voice bots and whatnot. They will become very human, and they will be very enjoyable, and they will be a lot more targeted and personalized. And I think that's actually quite interesting and relevant. And it's not just relevant in sport. I think it will be relevant in a lot of different fields. From a marketing or sports marketing perspective, I think, again, I talked a little bit about, logo recognition, personalized marketing, the market of one. I think there are a lot of things that AI and machine learning and the scalability that comes with it will enable, and we've just touched the surface. I mean, we're now at least moving on IPTV basis. We're moving to a bit more of a personalized advertising. But if you look at millennials and Generation Z and centennials, people who are not really have a high ad tolerance, I don't think that they want to see the unpersonalized advertising that they just don't care about. I think in the future, AI and machine learning will be able to actually understand what Bob, Michael, and Peter actually are interested in, and then give them something that is really relevant to them. And that is, we're just getting started in that field. So a lot to come, an exciting journey, not just for sports, but we will certainly try to play a role in that.